So that, certainly there are people in the academy who I think would have struggled to be there before. So I think we've made some strides, but I think it's a really complicated issue in higher education in South Africa in a range of ways. And I know we're trying to finish off.
Yeah.
But so like, how long have you got? But I think we've got much further to go, and I think that some kinds of accommodation in academia are very easy. So if someone's got a mobility impairment but can basically get around, that's relatively easy. You make sure that the buildings are accessible, and you've done it once. Where it gets much more complicated is around any kind of like visual impairment, hearing impairment, where making things accessible is a constant thing that you have to keep doing. And then there are more fluid, like a number of my people that I work with have psychosocial disabilities, which mean, for example, one person I work with, it's unpredictable, but they'll work incredibly productively, and then unpredictably they won't be able to come to work. And how do you accommodate that when you've got deadlines and you've got students and you've got budgets and But if we want to create an environment, we have to create an environment in which it is possible to work in that way. And it is challenging. And I don't think that we've thought enough about those challenges. It's much easier just to exclude people, or just, certainly in the academy, just to get people with the sort of disabilities that also they look great in a picture. So you have a wheelchair user in your department, you push them to the front, and everybody says, "Oh, they're disability friendly." Whereas if somebody's blind, you can't really see it, or if they're deaf, or whatever. But in fact, in academia, those are the much easier ones to accommodate. And I think we're much further than we are, and I think that there are some good practices. There's HEDSA now, which is Higher Education Disability Organisation. Sorry, I forget the name. There's some interesting work being done, certainly at our university. At Free State, people are looking at it, and various other places. We're getting there very slowly. But I do think that one of the huge advantages of thinking about disability in the academy and everywhere else is that if you think properly about disability and not just as shame, we're going to help these poor people and uplift them and so on, but if you think about it as a rights issue, as an environmental issue and so on, you have to start thinking about other forms of diversity. You can't not. Because who else has been excluded? It's not only blind people who've been excluded from literacy, it's most people, unfortunately, still today in schools in South Africa who are effectively being excluded from proper literacy because of what's happened in our education systems. People who are excluded from predominantly English-speaking institutions because of the languages they speak. So there are people who have these one